very grateful for my many, many friends and family members, and I've got a lot of smart people in my life. And as I was moving toward creating this high-stakes decision-making at the time, it was going to be an online training and coaching program because I was doing the online work prior to, this quarantine, prior to COVID. I approached a lot of friends and family members telling them my ideas. And I noticed that a lot of them were, oh, great, this is great. But if I really look for disconfirming evidence from them, no one could provide disconfirming evidence. And I realized that my sources of, even though they were lovely, nice, supportive people, they were all giving me confirming evidence. Like, you should do this. This is how it should be done. And every time I presented how it should be done, it would be like, yes, this is it. Oh my God, this is great. My company, I want this, blah, blah, blah. And it was at this point that I could not find any disconfirming evidence that frankly led me to you. And I have never really thought of a coach because I was just doing. I wasn't really, I was just doing. And here I was creating something that I'm passionate about and convinced that it will be so helpful for so many people. But I couldn't find disconfirming evidence. Like, I couldn't find evidence that says maybe it's not helpful or it's not the right way. And everyone I showed. So I started saying, okay, the source of my evidence, they're neither reliable nor are they relevant because they're not people who would buy it. They're my friends. They don't need this. I get it for free from me all the time. They're my family, whatever. I've been harping on them about this forever. So I went through many, many kind of different conversations that led me to you. It was really initially to find the way to interrogate my idea from a reliable, relevant, valid source. One that was consistently smart, that showed consistent results with other clients. One that was relevant, in other words, has lived in the corporate world, has lived in the entrepreneurial world, knows those avatars, knows that market, and is valid, will give me accurate information. And when they can't, they know where to get it. And so I think that the best critical thinking decision that I've made, or one that I can think of is very obvious this year for my business, was deciding to hire you. And it really started with an inability to find disconfirming evidence for the project that I want to launch next year, that I wanted to launch and will be launching now next year.
Okay. Wow. Well, that was the perfect segue into.
I mean, it sounds like it was a planned thing, but I assure you it wasn't. I mean, but I had thought about it, I thought, and it was conscious, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it's funny because I've not one time in 7 years in the world of coaching ever quite thought about the value of coaching in the way you just described, nor have I ever heard any coach or other person describe the value of coaching the way you just described it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's not about it. You hear about accountability. I'm pretty self-motivated and that's all fine. And I hold myself accountable and that's great. But I was really looking for reliable, relevant, valid evidence. And, I'm very convincing to my friends and family that my ideas are good. You, not quite as much.
How did you know that I was a coach that was going to be able to play that role effectively, that you could trust?
There are a couple of things. One, I was told that you were by someone that I think is discerning. So that was, helpful. The referral came from someone that is, Patrick, who I think is Patrick Alvin, who I think is smart and discerning. So that was good. He had also done a similar kind of, created a similar kind of service and product that I was interested in planning to create. So it was relevant to what I was doing. And then, you and I had that initial conversation, and there were times where you were very clear that you said, you were like, I don't know, I'm going to find out. And the ability to say, I don't know is so important to me, and that you're going to find out. You didn't know, but you knew exactly where to find out, and you had ideas and you had connection and you had networks, and you were transparent about that. And then when we were emailing back and forth, I was asking you some questions that were kind of my questions to see if you could provide disconfirming evidence of your own efficacy, and you did. So, I thought, okay, this is the one. I mean, there were some tricks. I'm not going to tell you all the tricks, but after our first conversation, I felt pretty solid that this was a person. Now, I hadn't been out looking for coaches, although I know a lot of coaches. So I imagine that if I had come across someone that I thought would be right for what I was looking for, that would have been salient for me. So it wasn't like I was actively looking, but I was always my antenna were always up. But like I said, I was not looking for primarily accountability or some of those more traditional coaches. I was really looking for someone who could provide really wise, like I said, relevant, reliable, and valid evidence and disconfirming evidence for what I feel pretty strongly is an important product and service I'm creating.
Okay. Was there any hesitation, if you can remember, when it came to thinking, like really thinking about, this guy's been referred to me. He seems to have provided some level of disconfirming evidence, and was there any hesitation about investment of time, of money, is this going to work out? Because I think that's something people deal with all the time when they're considering hiring a coach, whether it's the first time or the fifth time, is navigating that journey of, is now really the best time, or is it going to be worth the money, or is it like we all do that dance in our heads a little bit? Mm-hmm. Was there anything in that respect for you?
I think the best time for anything is usually in the rear view mirror when you say, "Oh, I should have, could have, would have," So, now is, I can always find reasons why now is not the best time. Mm-hmm. So the disconfirming evidence in this case would be why now is the best time, So there's that too. For me, the timing was not whether now is when I need a coach, because if I didn't find someone who could provide what I needed, then I suppose I would have to look for it elsewhere. I needed to find this information. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe there's some hesitancy with anything about the cost. How much do you pay for this or that? Everything is relative. I mean, if you don't know if you see a stapler for the first time and you don't know what it does, and you don't know, what any other office supplies cost, it's really going to be hard to know whether a stapler should be $10 or $50, or is a stapler $500? Because there are some staplers that are $500. So I didn't even know with coaching what coaches, what people pay for coaches. So that made it difficult. And so then I needed to figure out, okay, how much is having this objective tool of interrogation? And it was that important to me. So once I realized that you could become a tool of I'm not calling you a tool of interrogation for my ideas. That is, if my husband interrogates my ideas, I'm like, shut up. It's a little different, right? But, and sometimes he's very good at that too. But sometimes I just give him a side eye and he goes, oh no, you're right. Because he doesn't want to deal with the consequences. You don't care about that. So that really eliminated the hesitancy. And I feel that the investment was well worth it. I feel that the product that will be, the high stakes decision making coaching and training program will be that much better because of my investment and my time with you.
Fantastic. Have there been any surprises from our coaching work that you can remember? In other words, things that you didn't foresee based on kind of how we started?
I didn't foresee as much generosity with kind of opening up some of your network to me, just making them available to me. So, a lot of times people want to hold their network, their network is their net worth. So they want to hold that close to the chest. They want to, if they're going to find information from their network, they want to be the ones to relay it. Like when you go to the radiologist and you have an x-ray and you ask the x-ray tech, hey, can you tell me, is my bone broken? They're like, no, I can't really tell you that. That has to be the doctor. Each person has their roles. You were like really transparent with, as long as the people agreed, you put me in touch with other people who had done other things that could shed some light. Remember, we were working on trying to figure out security systems around learning management systems. And, there were some real technical questions I had about how the future of work would look and who would have exposure in a larger company's HR department to LMS systems. And, you were really clear, like, okay, let me make a connection. And, you didn't have to get the information from them and sanitize it and give it to me. You just, that surprised me, because I think a lot of consultants don't want to show their subcontractors. They want to get it and be the ones to relay the information. And you were really generous. And I really appreciated that. That surprised me.
Yeah.
In a good way.
And that's part of, that's part of my DNA as a connector, and having good people that are also connectors and value that. But that's also like really insightful and valuable feedback for me, because I take that for granted because I do it all the time. So, but
a lot of people are stingy, and there's a reason to be stingy.
Yeah.
What if you give away all your trade secrets, and then trust me, there will be plenty more for people who work with you.
If you could highlight and kind of like think of this as the highlight reel of some of the benefits, like the biggest benefits of working together in our coaching relationship, and this might just be more of a summary of what you just said, what would those highlights be?
I think when I asked you to do some things that I felt like I needed interrogation on my website, for example. And there were some parts of my website that I felt very precious about. It's like when we write, I have my precious gems, and then I sometimes have to put them down into the dumpster. So when I'm creating a document, I push them down. I don't delete them. God forbid I delete. And only later do I go back and say, why is that even in my dumpster? That needs to just like get off my, I just need to get rid of that altogether. So I had some precious gems on my website that I knew emphatically should not change. And then I said, okay, go to town interrogating. Would you interrogate my website? And you're like, yeah, sure. And your feedback is you really give good feedback. And I mean, I don't mean like a positive shit sandwich. I mean, hopefully, I mean, a legitimately good feedback. And from a perspective of the avatars that I do work with and want to work with. And so that was incredibly helpful. The other thing was the languaging. Sometimes I can be a little bit word salady and in my marketing materials. And you were able to go through and say, okay, this is confusing. This is compelling. Here's where this confusing can be more compelling. And that's just like, you hear about coaching and they're asking the right questions, but no, you actually dug in there. And, sometimes I would just tell me. And you did. And so I like that too. And I know that that's not, the coaching thing is the person's supposed to come up with their own thing and you're the guy. Sometimes just tell me a better way of saying it. And you're like, well, okay, here's how. I'm not telling you how to say it, but this is one good way. And I'm like, oh, I'm stealing that. And I like that. I mean, sometimes, you just want, just give it to me. Just give me the information. And that was great.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then one final question. And I think this is an interesting question to ask you based on the work that you do. If a listener out there is considering hiring a coach to grow their business, evolve their business, what advice would you have for them?
Have an idea, and have an idea as to why it matters, and have an idea about the very specific problem it solves and for whom. If you're looking for a coach to help you come up with an idea or to make your life feel like it has more purpose or to, feel better about your direction or give you direction. Maybe there are coaches for that. I don't know. I don't know. But you might do better listening to some podcasts, But if you have a clear problem that you can help people solve and some idea about how to do that, or even a strong idea, like I had this emphatic idea about why this should be the case. So either a super strong idea or some idea or everything in between, but not no idea, not like I need to find my purpose. Maybe you help people to find their purpose, but I wouldn't say go to Michael for that. I wouldn't say go to Michael. Maybe I'm giving bad advice, but I think that if you have a problem that you're trying to solve for people and you feel strongly about it or you're not sure about it, but you want that interrogation, you want that clarity, you want that disconfirming and confirming evidence, that would be the reason that I would recommend going for a coach versus maybe, I don't know, a psychologist. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did I give bad advice to people? Am I sending people away that you want to serve? I don't know.
No, not at all. I like on a personal level, and this is no surprise since we've been in a coaching client relationship, but I'm a firm believer that one of the things that I look for as more of an audition for clients is that they have a degree of clarity on what they want to achieve and that they've actually taken action towards it. If those two things, either of them aren't present, we are not a good fit. So it's very insightful for me to hear your feedback. So I think it's perfect.